Hey, what's up guys, it's Nick2. Today I'm going to be showing you guys a really strong Moze build that does a ton of damage via splash damage, and with the way that the build functions, it also has a ton of survivability mixed in with that, meaning that you pretty much never die with this build. It'll happen occasionally, but the survivability is much better than most of the other builds you'll see out there. Of course, with this build being that good in terms of damage and survivability, you can do pretty much any of the content that you want to do. So if you're looking for a Moze build, this is definitely one of them, and it's kind of, a little bit different than the other ones, that it's going to have splash damage, but it's going to be using TDR weapons instead. If you're looking for a download link, there will be a download link to this one for PC. I'm not really sure how to do console download links, but if you know how to do that, please let me know. But yeah. Now before I get into the video, I want to give a big thanks to my partner Raid Shadow Legends. If you somehow haven't heard about Raid yet, Raid Shadow Legends is a brand new dark fantasy action RPG game that's insanely popular on mobile, but now it is finally available for both PC and Mac with fantastic graphics. There's heaps of things to do in Raid, including a full campaign, dungeons, PvP, and much more. But personally, my favorite thing to do is to just pretty much unlock new champions and customize them with like really cool gear and new abilities and stuff like that. I've been playing Raid in the background while I'm in queue for certain games, and it just runs so smooth that I can actually have the game open while I'm playing another game with no problem at all. You definitely don't need a crazy PC to play the game at high settings. It runs very well. Download is also really small, and the quality of the game is just great. I've really been enjoying playing it recently, and if you'd like to join me, just look for my name Nick2 in game and make sure to shoot me an invite. The game is really easy to download, and it's also cross-save, so it will save your progress from your phone to your PC and vice versa. The best part of all, though, is that the game is absolutely free to play, and if you click the first link in the description, you get a ton of bonuses if you download Raid right now, including 50,000, free silver, and an epic free champion as part of the new player program. It's awesome having a game that I can play on PC while doing other things, and I'd highly recommend it, so go check it out, and I'll see you guys there. Alright, so starting off with the build, I'm just going to go over the talents and stuff that you pick, and then I'll talk about the weapons and the anointed effects that you want. Overall, the build is pretty simple, but might as well just go over everything. Of course, we're going to start off with an empty slate, and with Moze, you really don't care about Iron Bear at all, at least with the setup you don't care, so avoid Iron Bear entirely. We're pretty much just only focusing on the talents that are going to increase our damage and survivability, and that is just going to help us kill stuff. That's pretty much all that's important. So first off, we're just going to go 5 points into Armored Infantry. This just gives you a little bit of gun damage and damage reduction while your shields are active. Nothing big, but we want to go for that. Then we're going to put 5 points into Drowning in Brass. This just gives us extra gun damage every time that we kill stuff. It does have a max stack, but it's pretty good regardless of that though. And then you can either put, we want to go 5 more points into Vladof Ingenuity. This is just going to increase your maximum shield. This really doesn't matter, it's just that we don't have anything else to put this into. And then we're going to put 5 points into Selfless Vengeance. This is just going to give you some extra incendiary damage whenever you reload. And you do gain a benefit out of this if you're using an incendiary damage, which in this particular video I am, but you don't have to use an incendiary. If you aren't using an incendiary, you probably still want to go for this though, because there's nothing really else to put your points into. Some people might say to put the points into Desperate Measures, but you don't want to do that because with the way that your shield works, stopgap, you're pretty much never going to have low health. Your shield's always going to be active, which is why Armored Infantry is good. And your health is never going to be low, so you're not going to be gaining anything out of Desperate Measure. It actually kind of sucks that my class mod gives me some into Desperate Measure. I'd rather have one that gives me more points into Phalanx Doctrine. And with that being said, we're going to stack Phalanx Doctrine, go all the way to 7. This just gives you extra gun damage and max shield per kill, and of course, extra gun damage is amazing. And being that this doesn't have a max stack, you can just stack this up really high depending upon how fast you're killing stuff. And ultimately, this is going to be a massive source of damage for you. So that's pretty much it in this side of the tree. Then we're going to put 5 points into Fire in the Skag Den. Whenever Moze deals splash damage, shield deals bonus incendiary damage. Since we are doing a splash damage build, we're going to put the 5 points there, and that's just going to help us do a little bit of extra damage. A lot of people will say that you should go 5 into Torg Cross promotion. The reason that I'm going to be skipping over this is because I literally just don't have the points to go into this. I'd rather go for other things that are going to net me more damage. And the thing is that the TDR splashes, like the TDR explosions, the splash damage like radius, how big it is, isn't that large to begin with. So having it double in size isn't going to help a lot, typically because there's not going to be a whole lot of enemies clumped up. It kind of depends on what you're doing and like if this would be helpful or not. But I think in most scenarios, it's not going to help you out that much because the splash damage radius isn't huge on the TDR things. But overall, you could go for this. I just really don't think it's going to help you out that much because all it is making the radius bigger. It's not, increasing the damage done. It's only increasing your damage if like there's an enemy that would be outside of the radius, but wouldn't be if you were to use that. But like I said, we don't really have the extra points to go into that because we're going to go further down here. but I'll just talk about this and then I'll say that, you know, you could decide to go into that if you think that that is more beneficial. But first off, we're going to go 5 points into match set. We're doing this for the extra magazine size. The bigger magazine that you have, the more damage that your TDR reload splash damage is going to do. So you pretty much just want to stack a whole bunch of magazine size with this build. And then the next thing that we're going to do is, it really doesn't matter, to be honest. We're not actually shooting with this build. We're only going to be just reloading and throwing our TDR weapon. So you don't care about Cloud of Lead because this is only going to affect your shots. And we don't care about that because we're not actually going to be shooting our gun. What we want to do is go 3 points into Stoke the Embers, though, for 30% incendiary damage. But of course, if you're not using an incendiary gun, you could decide to skip over that and then potentially not even go further into this tree, and then just could do that and then some other stuff. But we're just going to go 3 points into Stoke the Embers, and then we're going to put... We don't really have anything else to do with the rest of our points. We pretty much just want to get to Iron Bank, which is going to increase our magazine size, which is going to adversely increase the amount of gun damage that we're going to do, with our splash damage rather, with our TDR weapon reload. So I'm just going to put some points into Scrappy here, just for weapon swap speed. There's nothing really else to put the points in here, but we might as well, just for weapon swap speed. We don't really care about scorching RPMs because our fire rate and our crit is pretty irrelevant, but we're going to have to put a few points into that. And I put 1 point to Russian offensive just cuz, but we're gonna have to put a point into that just so we can get further down here, and then we're only able to put 3 points into this. So easily you could make the argument that you'd rather just go 5 points match set, 3 points Soak the Embers, and then just ignore this, and then, you know, maybe go 5 points into Toward Cross Promotion, and then you could put like the rest of the points in kind of like miscellaneous stuff. Maybe go for Tenacious Defense, so that you get a little bit of extra gun damage every 30 seconds. You're not going to be scoring any crit kills, so you really don't care about force feedback, and you're going to have your shield up all the time anyway. You want to ignore going for Behind the Curtain and going for Thin Red Line, because that's going to mess up the way that a stopgap works. I think actually Behind the Curtain will work fine, but Thin Red Line is going to mess up the way that stopgap works, so pretty much ignore that. But if you wanted to, depending upon the way that you're set up, you could just decide to skip going for Scrappy, Russian Offensive, Scorching RPMs, and Iron Bank, and then just go toward Cross Promotion, and then put another point to Tenacious Defense, and then maybe go 3 into Behind the Iron Curtain. And I don't really know anything else that would be worth speccing into, to be honest. Yeah, there's not really anything else that's worth speccing into, so that's why I go 3 into Iron Bank, just to get you a little bit extra gun damage. But yeah, so talking about the guns, we want Everblast. These are going to be, the best TDR weapons that we want. Of course, the Anointed effect that we have is while terrified, you deal 50% bonus cryo damage. This is pretty nice because once you hit them like just one time, they'll immediately freeze up, and then they're insanely easy to kill. Once they freeze up, you just throw it one more time at them, and they'll just instantly die. So you want it to have the terrified effect, deal extra damage, but you could also have another terrified effect, or you could just have... Yeah, you want it to be terrified because you're trying to terrify yourself with this build. So if you have another terrified setup, that'll be pretty good. Just any type of damage would be pretty good, but like I said, cryo I think is the best. Of course, I'm using an incendiary one, but it also depends on the type of enemies that you're fighting. And then we have a face puncher. Melee attacks have a 25% chance to apply terror. The reason that we care about this is we're pretty much just swapping to our face puncher whenever we need ammo, shooting it a whole bunch of times, applying terror to ourselves, instantly swapping back to the Everblast. And we have a stopgap that is anointed that's going to give us, while terrified, we gain ammo regeneration, so that we don't really ever have to worry about our ammo. And of course, using an Everblast, just sitting there reloading constantly, is eating through your ammo, so that's pretty important. And you definitely want a stopgap. What you want to do is have a level 1 stopgap. This pretty much makes it that your capacity is so low that it just gets one-shotted, but the recharge delay and the recharge rate is insanely fast. And you also get immune for 5 seconds, so it pretty much just breaks, you're immune, and then comes back, breaks, immune, comes back, over and over and over again. And then you have a Quasar. You can have any grenade pretty much, but this is just going to give you extra damage and fire rate the more terror that you have. This just helps us with damage. The fire rate we really don't care about, but getting the extra damage while you're terrified is pretty nice. And then we have a Bloodletter here. You definitely want a Bloodletter with this, or else it's not going to work because of the way that the delay and the recharge rate affects stopgap. And with this, I have splash damage, weapon damage, and health regen. You could probably get splash damage, weapon damage, and like magazine size, and that would probably be better, but health regen, whatever. That's just the role that I have. You'd rather have one that's going to give you +5 Phalanx Doctrine if you can, although that's insanely rare. It is possible, though. I have seen one with that. It just didn't give me the right rolls. And then you want a Cut Purse. This is pretty much just going to make it to where whenever you use your face puncher and you melee, you get your ammo back really quickly. Although you do have the terrified effect to gain ammo regen. It's not enough ammo regen So you pretty much just want to be able to swap to your face puncher and instantly get to max ammo, which is why you're doing that. And then also I have 33% area of effect damage and 40% magazine size. Of course, this is just all going to affect how much damage we do with our weapons. I'm not aware of any other TDR weapon that is particularly good for doing this setup, but if you do, please let me know down in the comments. But Everblasts are pretty much going to be the best that you can get if you want to see how I have, or how this is rolled. Let me inspect it. So the parts that we have are for extra magazine size there, extra damage, splash damage radius, mag size, accuracy -%, and then projectiles per shot, which just means every time that you throw it, there's more projectiles that are seeking out the enemies. And then fire rate, we don't really care about that. Projectiles per shot and damage is really good there. And then incendiary. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll leave a little bit of extra gameplay here. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys later. Peace.